Alright, hi, this is assignment 6, so I'll start with the skybox. Alright, here we go. I edited out the build because it took a really long time, but here's my skybox. No obvious seams. There are a couple angles where you can kind of see that it is a box, but I think that's just going to happen by the design of the skybox. But if I look around, it looks pretty good from this angle, and this is not built to, I did not scale this, by the way, I'll show you that. Here are my vertices that I use. I guess here's a .h file, but it's more or less the same as the flat plane one. Just has a render, build, and then it's a private model. So here are all my faces. You can see that I just multiply the base size by the passed in size variable to build it to scale. And one other thing to note is that instead of 0.67 and 0.33, which is what I would normally use, I ended up using 0.34 and 0.66 to over-adjust a bit so that there would be no white space in between the edges of the boxes, because that was happening. And the only other real difference between this and a normal box is that now my triangles go in such a way that they point inward rather than outward, for obvious reasons. So next up we have the terrain model. I add my smaller one, and then I'll show you the larger one, first with the test 16, and then with the regular test. So I'll pull out a bit. I probably should have made the camera faster, but you can see my my test speed here, and all of this. The one weird thing is that I'll show you in a moment. Yeah, for some reason adds an extra square. Not entirely sure why. I'll show you my math, and why I don't understand why that's happening, but it does exist for the time being. But you know. And next I will show off the actual tests. But yeah, here's the problem that I was having, is that for some reason it's just adding this big plane up top. But if I pull out, you can see that the actual terrain is being built fine. It just is adding an extra plane that you can see from below for some reason. And if I remember correctly, and I don't think the small plane in the lower right corner is appearing anymore, so for whatever reason that is now just being transposed over the entirety of the model from underneath. So, and again, I don't know why that might be, but the actual terrain is fine. It's just got a big plane over it for some reason. So I'll show you the actual math now behind the terrain model. First things first, the class, I suppose, is nothing really groundbreaking. I use an extra pixel width variable rather than including it in the function because I need it for the texel index function. But anyway, my actual math here. So I'll just start from here. So I make my my number of verts and my triangle index, and then x, y, z, u, and v positions. So I loop through from one side, and then in that I have a separate loop to go down the column. So I go through each of the pixels, find the texel index for that I and j coordinate, divide it by 255 so that it won't be too tall, and then multiply by max height and the y translation. So that should be that shouldn't have any problems with it. And then set that vertex to the x, y, z, u, and v positions, increment x and u. Then when I finish the loop, I reset them, increment z and v, and then do it all again. So it must be adding like an extra vertex or something. Not entirely sure why, because it should go from side to side, I would think. And then the tries, it just loops through, sets the first try and the second try in each square, and then eventually sends a new model. And then the render, it just sets the context and renders. So yeah, that's my math. Not entirely sure where the issue is coming from, but for the most part it builds fine. So once I figure that out, it should be smooth sailing.